George T Stagg is one of the best releases every single year, but 15 years ago, it was even better. Today we're going to try the highest proof George T Stagg ever released. This is from 2007. This is 144.8 proof, and today we're going to find out if it's worth anywhere near the $2,000 it goes for on the secondary market. Now we are going to warm up with a little bit of George T Stagg from 2024. This is what we know, this is what we love, this is 136.1 proof here. And then we're going to go on to the 8 proof bump from 18 years ago and see if it's that much better. On the nose, we know George T Stagg well on this channel. We've done a lot of reviews on George T Stagg. Man, it's just really good. Pure cherry candy on this, a real nice oak richness on this one. Some great vanilla, some baking spices, your nutmeg, your cinnamon. Very classic Kentucky with a nice, rich, aged oak mustiness on there. Hard to beat George T Stagg. I can only imagine how much better it's going to get in a second here. Let's take a sip. Super viscous. And the palate, just a bomb of flavor. Tons of cherry, tons of oakiness on there. You have more of like a toasted oak. You have almost like a little bit of toasted marshmallow on it. It's really rich and oaky. But you also just get pure cherry candy on it. Some nice orange on there. Some baking spices. You have a medium to long finish here. You have very full-bodied, a very flashy front mid-late palate here. I mean, man, it's just a great, great pour of whiskey. I'm a big fan of George T Stagg. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, this is the George T Stagg killer. Oh, this is the bottle, my pick, or whatever. This is the thing that's truly way better than George T Stagg. And I'm going to be honest, we don't drink much on this channel that's actually better than George T Stagg. George T Stagg is amazing. This is a bottle that is truly, I hate to say worth its secondary value, but as the secondary value continues to go down, that bottle is about $600 right now. It was once $800, it was once $1,000. At $600, honestly, relative to the market at large, not a bad price. I mean, this is a bottle that I think is better than Calumet 18. Calumet 18, people constantly debate it at $400 to $500. I mean, this is a bottle that I think is better than Russell's 15. Russell's 15 MSRP was $250. Secondary value is about $575 right now. This is a bottle that I take over both of those. This is a bottle that I take over Jack 14. This is a bottle that I take over pretty much everything else. This was my whiskey of the year in 2024. And I certainly think it was very well deserving here. Let's take a second sip here. And let's find out just how much better it actually gets. Cherry candy, better than pretty much anything I've ever had. I mean, no Stagg Jr. can come close to that. And that oak richness, that backbone of it, there's a pepper on there, there's a leather on there. It's really nice, rich oakiness. You really feel the 15 years of age. And then you also get these oranges in there. You also get this nice spice characteristic in there. An absolutely stellar pour. That is a bottle that I rate an 8.8. I think it's something that is just really, especially as it's opened up in this bottle. I mean, we've reviewed this maybe 5 times here on the channel, and so I've actually done some damage on the bottle. I mean, this is definitely more than I've drank out of a lot of things, and it's just gotten better and better as it really has opened up over the last, 4 or 5 months since we've opened it, and definitely about an 8.8. But let's see just how good George T Stagg from 2007 really is. Immediately we're hit with a surprising amount of dusty funk. Now, my hot take here is that old George T Stagg and old William Lee Wellers, and therefore also old Igor 17s and Sazerac 18s, those old BTECs can honestly be classified as Dusties. Because Dusties to me are bottles that are from the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. But we're looking at 15-year juice bottled in 2007. This was distilled in 1992. So 1992 distillation date is something I would typically consider to be a Dusty. It's just most Dusties are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And so they're also released in the 1990s. This is released in 2007 because it's been 15 years. But to me, this is honestly a 15-year Dusty. So perhaps that's a hot take, but I mean, I could just tell on the nose here, really getting a nice dusty funk to it. That as many describe, it actually just smells like dust. Like if you go and smell like dust, and it's not necessarily a good thing, it's just interesting and weird and not something you would expect out of a whiskey. Beyond that, I get some really deep like orange marmalade, orange candy on this. Definitely some baking spices on this as well, but it's really that dusty funk that's jumping out. Honestly, doesn't smell as potent as the 2024. The 2024 is really punching on all cylinders, but honestly, it also smells kind of simple in comparison, almost like it's rough around the edges. This is really refined. This is Hazmat George T Stagg. Somebody once told me, as I was really getting to this hobby, started really collecting some nicer bottles, started getting my first BTECs and everything, maybe a year ago, that a lot of really elite people, they just drink Hazmat George T Stagg and Stutzelweller all day. And I never forgot that. And I remember, I was telling him how excited I was to have my first George T Stagg. I was excited that I was trying all these BTECs finally, and I really felt so cool that I got to try them. And he told me, man, there are people out there that make fun of people for drinking the modern George T Staggs. And I always thought, man, I can't wait until one day I get to try a dusty, old Hazmat George T Stagg and see what these people are really talking about. And I'm really excited here to try the 2007 highest proof here. Thank you to a good buddy of mine named Mark for getting me this sample. He's supported this channel in so many ways with his samples. And honestly, I'm not sure how many videos he really watches, but I appreciate the support nonetheless. And let's take a sip here. Wow, it's actually really refined and really mellow. That's interesting. That's not at all what I expected. I was expecting this to be firing on all cylinders, but this is actually something that's really refined, really mellow, very, very elegant. And I would never expect anything like 144.8 proof to be that elegant. I mean, that's drinking 120 proof in a way that I think George T Stagg typically drinks pretty much its proof. Like, it's 136 proof, and I wholeheartedly believe like it really does drink 136 proof. But this 144.8, we're like in the 110s even. I don't even think we're in the 120s. That is super interesting how it does that. Wow. I'm going to go in and say right now, I can't say I absolutely love it on that first sip. I mean, it's almost odd that I feel like I need a second sip on a Hazmat whiskey because I feel like the previous sip may have actually been drowning out the proof. I mean, this is not a 144 in the way that I would have expected. And I've heard this before. I've heard other people say that these old Hazmat George T Staggs are really refined and really elegant and just not really firing on all cylinders like these modern releases. Let's take a second sip here. Okay, really letting it coat the palate there. Definitely start picking up a lot more on it. The dusty funk is all over there. There's a really nice sweetness on it that I would say is almost just like a sugar sweetness, brown sugar sweetness on it. Then you get a little bit of cherry starting to really peek out there. You definitely have that orange candy on it. You can tell it's Buffalo Trace, but honestly, it's more reminiscent of like a Blanton's Dusty than it is a George T Stagg, which is really weird to say. Now, I've had a few Dusty Blantons on this channel. The bottle is back there. We've tried two. We've tried a 1992 Takara Gold, and then we've tried a 1991 Takara Red. And we've actually also tried a 1990 normal Blantons now that I think about it. So I've had a few early 90s Blantons, and the dusty funk on them is honestly surprisingly reminiscent of these. It's not at all what I expected. It's good. It's really good. Like, we're probably low 9s here. It's just interesting. It's just not what I expected. I was expecting this to fire on all cylinders, and we might be looking at a spirit that's honestly in the mid or even high 9s. I'm not in the high 9s. I don't even think I'm in the mid 9s for this. I think we're around a 9.0. I think I am enjoying it more than the George T Stagg. We are going to go back to it just to make sure. But on the nose, it's much simpler. This, you can tell, has a deep, rich characteristic to it. It has a nice tobacco on it. It has this really dusty oak funk to it. And it has like a deeper cherry forward on it. It's like more of a machino cherry on it. Whereas this George T Stagg, it's more simple. Like, it has very similar notes, but it's more straightforward. You could tell it's like a more modern release. It doesn't have that dusty funk backbone to it. That's an interesting bottle of whiskey. Let's take a final sip here, and let's give it a rating. Wow. That's a really nice pour of whiskey. But is it utterly amazing? Is it something that I think for $2,000 I'd actually consider buying? Not really. I think it's good. I think if you try all the different variants, and obviously, I mean, there's a 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are all hazmats. After 2013, they are no longer ever hazmat except for 2016, which I also have a sample of. And then before 2005, they weren't hazmat either. So And that kind of peak hazmat era is when people say you had the best George T Staggs. And I can tell, I mean, it's really, really nice there. And it's definitely much better than the modern, but I think we need to pivot back to the modern here just to really hone in on our thoughts here. All right, we'll take the final little sip here of the 2007. It's really good. I'm just surprised how elegant it is. I'm just surprised that it's drinking 115 proof. I mean, that's 144.8 proof. Doesn't drink anywhere close to it. But let's finish off this George T Stagg 2024. Actually much worse than compared. I mean, wow. Okay. This is why we do side by sides, because we tried that first and we said, wow, that is utterly amazing. That is an 8.8. That is really, really, really impressive. And then we go to this and now it's clearly a different level of whiskey. I'm going to go ahead and rate that a 9.2. I think it's definitely well deserving to be in the 9s. Do I think it's a whiskey that's just utterly amazing? Yeah, I mean, it's really good. It's not what I expected. I would have expected a lot more proof on it, but you still get just an incredible elegance on it. No, that's actually, I'm gonna up that to a 9.3. I think there's a half point higher than George T Stagg 2024. But honestly, this is just really making me want to try more of these. Now, I do have samples from 2009, 10, 11, 16, and I also have like 15, which isn't a hazmat, and then I have like 19, 20. I have a lot of different George T Stagg samples. So if you guys want to see a George T Stagg blind, get this video to, let's say, 100 likes, and I'll do 5 different George T Staggs. I'll do some dusty, some modern, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. I think this is going to be an interesting comparison against 2022, which is my favorite of all the modern batches. But honestly, I think that 2022, for half the price of any of these older George T Staggs, that bottle for like 800 bucks is peak quality to secondary ratio, because that to me is a perfect 9.0. It means really, really solid, and I don't think this is that much better. It's just a completely different experience. Like it's almost hard to compare it because it's a dusty Buffalo Trace funk to it in a way that this 2024 just isn't. Wow, I mean, that's a lot of fun. But anyways, I hope you guys had fun with this. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. If you guys want to see more George T Stagg content or more Buffalo Trace content, just let me know down below in the comments. But anyways, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.